Welcome back to Coming In Hot. I'm Caroline Baudino, and I'm your host. And I'm so happy to have you here. Please like, review, follow, spread the news to all your friends. If you think they'd like the podcast, I'd really appreciate it. And today, people are asking some advice. It was like, ask Caroline anything. What advice do you need? And you guys honestly wrote in some really great ones, and I wanted to just jump in. I kind of love doing these because I feel like it connects us a little bit more. We kind of hear a little bit deeper the thoughts and what's going on in the community and what people are kind of focusing on. A lot of the questions were kind of dating on the apps, like how to deal being 42 and maybe never wanting a baby, fitness in your 50s and 60s, how to find your personal style as you age, a lot about perimenopause, weight gain, nutrition, a lot of things. So I just thought it was really interesting that a lot of us are just going through the thick of it. And I think in middle age, when you're kind of hitting your 40s and entering your 50s, it is unknown territory. It is a time where there's a lot of changes, a lot of different dynamics at play, between the sandwich years, marriage, kids, your parents, friendships, work, what goes on in the world. It all affects you. So I think we're at this time in our lives, we're all kind of searching for a community, and I think we're all searching for some relatability and to not feel alone. And I want to remind you, you're not alone. We are all going through this. I get literally 100 DMs a day of amazing women feeling alone, feeling left behind, feeling less than, feeling lost, and it drives me crazy because it does not have to be that way. And you do have an option and you do have a choice, and you can be happy in the second half of your life, in middle age. It is not the end of the world. Menopause is not the end of the world. And so let's dive in. So a lot of people wanting to talk about perimenopause and menopause, and I will just dive in with kind of how it affected me. A lot of people asking me about HRT, and I personally did not do any HRT. I still don't. I really went through the thick of menopause where I really knew symptoms were coming on. Definitely in my 40s. As you know, I had kids later in life. I was 38 and 40 when I had Finn and Sawyer. So my menopause, I think, was kind of triggered from having kids later in life and, not being on any birth control, putting in an IUD. And I heard that the IUD could like cause early menopause, whatever. The point is, I started getting hot flashes. They start slow, they start simple. You start getting irritable, you start losing your hair, you start having anxiety. I start having anxiety that I never had before, and like kind of panic attack feelings as it progresses. So the more you lose hormones and the more you're deficient in hormones, obviously the stronger the symptoms are. So by the time that my symptoms were brutal and I kind of understood what I was going through, it was COVID. And so nothing was open, no doctor's office were open, and I just kind of had to deal. So for me, I took a lot of vitamins, I exercised, I went to intermittent fasting. I kind of gave myself some grace, had a lot of open conversations with John about how I was feeling and how out of control I felt, and kind of trying to give him some awareness of what I was going through, because if not, he would have literally thought I was a monster and the Hulk, because you fly off the handle and it's terrifying. It can scare your husband, your kids, everybody. So again, you will get through it. I have had friends that did HRT. They had great experiences with it. I think as you progress, you may need something, obviously, maybe for sexual pleasure, maybe for, again, you start getting like frozen shoulder, your joints. So that loss in testosterone, I think eventually we probably all need to take something or do something. But I have friends that had great results. I also have friends who developed breast cysts, like cysts in their breasts, and they had to stop taking it. So I don't really know what to say about it, except that do your research, talk to your doctors, make sure that it's right for you, and just know you always have the option to get off. So that's the good thing. But I personally got through it. It was hard, but you will survive. So no, I did not do HRT. Definitely talk to your doctors. For fitness in your 50s and 60s, I think it just changes, and I think it's a little bit of your mindset that has to change. I think accepting that you're not 20 and 30 anymore, and that your joints and your muscles and your back and your hips and things change after childbirth and after aging, and like your bone density and blah, 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 blah. So to think that we're going to do the same thing as when we were 20 and 30 and that those same things would work is mind-boggling, right? We've all done it. I was like, oh wait, the liquid diet doesn't work anymore, or the vodka diet doesn't work anymore, right? You're like, oh, all my little tricks don't work. So for me, fitness now has become like what makes me feel good, something that relieves anxiety, something that just makes me feel strong, not necessarily for losing weight. I think our bodies change, especially after children, especially after menopause. And we do have to accept a little of it. And I do think you can lose the weight. I do think you can get back into killer shape. I know women in their 60s and 70s that look amazing. So it is possible, but it takes work. It definitely takes work. And for me, as I got older, I personally enjoyed more Pilates and walking and hiking and being in nature because it calms my nerves. It calms my anxiety. So for me, it's just changed because I used to be like hardcore runner, spinning class. I used to run 5 miles and then go do a spin class. Like I was crazy. And like I liked kickboxing and like really hardcore classes. Now I just want to be like in a yoga or a Pilates. I want to do some more stretching, more PT, and I just am more gentle. I'm more gentle with myself. I'm more gentle with my body. I listen to my body. And I really just want to be strong now, not so much skinny. So that's how I think 50s and 60s is about keeping strong, building muscle so that you don't fall down, doing like stability exercises so that you stay on your feet, not in a wheelchair. Things like that, like the up and down on a chair. Bottom line, I don't want to be in a wheelchair. I don't want to be in a home. I really want to be healthy and having fun with John and traveling. So it's the utmost important to keep your body moving. I think standing still in any way is what ends up killing you. So that's how I feel about that. Okay, let's continue on because there's a couple of let's talk about dating. Okay, so for me, you guys, I have never known the dating apps. When I was dating, when I was single, the dating apps did not exist. So I find it to be a very weird world. I really do. It actually makes me uncomfortable for young girls because, I have seen some stories now. There's been a lot of TikToks that, of course, I went down a rabbit hole. And, a lot of girls, it's like being able to pose as, you can catfish so easily. Everyone has like fake photos. You really can present yourself as whoever you want. And I feel like it's just a little more dangerous than back in the day where, you really met people in person. You really got a vibe from them. You got an energy from them. It was always like a friend's friend, or it was a setup through a family member. This whole idea of like this wide world web and that you're just meeting a total stranger. It's not my thing. Like I'm very grateful I'm not single. I'm very grateful I don't have to do it. I don't think I would, to be brutally honest. I think I'm like, that's not in my wheelhouse. I'd like to know who people are and like get a vibe from them. So I would say you have to do what makes you feel comfortable. If you're in your 50s and 60s and dating apps is something that, you want to kind of like dip your toes in, I would say just be very careful. I do believe that women, I think, especially older women, I think they get catfished even easier because I think there's a desperation of, I'm getting older, I don't want to be alone, or I want some attention, or it's like a divorce or a cheating situation and like you just want that attention, you want to get back, you want revenge, and it cannot end well. And I think that, you do see a lot of this, like the 90-Day Fiance or all these shows. I love that shit. And half the time it's like, what are you doing? And who is this person? So I've seen a lot of elderly be taken advantage of. My mom, who's 86, I can't even tell you how many DMs she has from guys. Not joking. Like 100 DMs from guys. And God knows where they're from. So I find it a little dangerous, but if that's where you're comfortable and that's something you want to try, I would say go slow and steady. Be very careful and always have a way out. Always be in public and always have your location on and make sure people know where you are and who you're with. So that would be my greatest words of wisdom. And for all my young girls out there who are dating, you do hear all these horror stories. Listen to your gut, please. Your gut is everything. And you don't owe anyone anything. You don't owe sex. You don't owe a blowjob. Like, you don't owe anything because someone bought you dinner. Or because somebody was nice to you. Or because someone's paying attention to you. You don't have to put yourself in an uncomfortable situation. You don't have to, be traumatized for the rest of your life because you didn't want to make him feel bad. Okay, so I just want to put that out there because I'd rather be alone than in bad company any day. And I think dating is just scary right now, everything you hear and see. And I want my girls being careful. And you're just seeing too many men taking advantage of girls and too many girls too desperate for attention and to be taken care of. And no one can fucking take care of you. Okay, so be careful. That is my point. Okay, someone wants to know about sex. All right, let's talk about sex. Guys, it changes. I'd be lying to you. We've been together 20 years. We have a full house, literally 24 hours a day. You find your moments. For me, a lot of it is affection is to me like the most important. That holding hands, that kiss goodbye, those loving words, that snuggle at night. That's more important to me than anything. Maintaining that, keeping that alive is of the utmost important to me. The actual act of sex is amazing when we can, when there's time, when there's privacy. Like, I'm not somebody who wants to like run into the bathroom for a 2-second quickie. So it has to make sense. It has to like feel right. You know what I mean? And it's not, I don't need to do anything that I don't want to do for John. He's not like hounding me. He's not making me feel bad. He's not a sex addict, thank God. I mean, he very much is very respectful. And at the end of the day, like, we're exhausted. We're working 24/7, 7 days a week. I take care of my 86-year-old mother. It's not sexy, okay? It's a lot. But when, you obviously have your vacation moments, you have your date nights, you make time. And I think, again, the most important thing to maintain at the top of your priority list is the affection and the respect, because that lasts for a lifetime. Like, even if the libido goes, even if his sex drive goes, even if it all goes, that never goes. So focus on that. Okay, so anything for women in their mid-50s, empty nesters, next chapter options, dating in the 50s. There's a lot of people in their second half. Talking about dating? Okay, I love it. I would say, you guys, when you're empty nesters, I think this is where a lot of women feel lost. And I think a lot of women feel like, what is my next chapter? And I would say this is the perfect time to start taking care of yourself. This is the perfect time for you to take a deep, long look in the mirror and start asking yourself, like, what actually makes you happy? You've probably taken care of everyone else for the last 18 years. You've met everyone else's needs. Now it's time for you to meet your needs. And it's time for you to figure out who you really are now. Like, who you were before kids is not who you are after kids. And I do think that's why people feel lost, because we change, we grow, we learn. And now we have experience. So I think for me, having that experience, like, you just have to like start taking care of yourself. And I think you have to start making time for yourself, and you need to start focusing on yourself. That's the truth. And when you start doing that, then I think that's the point where you start to figure it out. So I think once you start to figure out like where you like to spend time, where do you like to spend your energy? Like, who do you like to be around? What are the places you like to go? Is there something you always wanted to learn? Is there an old activity, an old thing that you used to love to do that now you can take up again or relearn again? Or is there something that you love to do that now you could do for others? And maybe, start small, but like you start getting paid and you start making a little business out of it. Again, doing something that you already do every day and, starting small is the best way, because everything has to, you have to set that groundwork, and then you build from there. So just know that you're not completely starting over. You are smart and you're capable and you got this. Whether you're starting to date, whether you want to get back into the workforce, start something for yourself, make some new friendships. Again, it's about changing what you've been doing that hasn't worked, and like trying some new things, figuring out who you are, what you actually like. So a lot of times we're friends with moms, or we're friends with them because, we're with our kids, or because of our situation and our circumstance, because we have to be at school every day. So you kind of talk to all the moms at school, but like now I hardly talk to any of the moms. So it's like your circumstances change. So you have to figure out where you're at, who fits that present, that present life you're living, who fits your future, and then start small from there. Start figuring out what it is that you love to do, what it is, and if it's starting a new wardrobe, let's just say, that was a question here of like, how do you start, figuring out your style? Again, it's starting small. Start with what's comfortable. Start with what you know, and then you build from there. Because once you know what to do, you put on those comfortable, let's say you just start with the comfortable pair of jeans. Like, you start to build with the simple, like a simple staple essentials. And then from there, you play with accessories. You play with, the shoes, with the bag, with the sunnies, with the jewelry. It's small, it's simple, one at a time. You start to play, try some different trends. You look up or you follow people that you love and you love their style. You start to try to incorporate some of it without breaking the bank. Go to Amazon, go to somewhere, buy the cheaper version, buy the dupe, try it out, figure it out if you really like it first before you blow all your money trying to look like somebody else. Figure out what your style is. Figure out who you are, what makes you happy. And then you make those little tweaks and changes, and then that's how you find your style. So you kind of get what you like from everybody and you figure out what works for you. But again, I always start with the staples, and then I play around with accessories, whether it's a color, a pattern, a texture, and then you kind of figure out what works for you. I think that's where you start. Okay, moving on. Making friends as a middle-aged woman, introvert. I think making friends, and another one, friendships with other women and how to navigate. Guys, at the end of the day, friendships is a relationship, right? Whether it's a marriage, whether it's your family, your friends, your husband, it's all a relationship, and it takes work, right? People don't just stay because you have to make an effort, they have to make an effort. If you're sitting at a table that you don't feel comfortable, if you're sitting at a table where you're sitting with women who don't make you feel fabulous or don't cheer you on or don't show up for you, it's not your people. So again, you have to get comfortable with being alone first. I think it's the greatest flex you could ever have, is being comfortable being alone and dealing with that so that you like your own company, because then you don't take shit from other people, right? You have boundaries, you have standards. And then you start doing things that you love to do. That's where I meet the people that I love and meet friends, whether it's a workout class, whether it's a book club, whether it's training for a marathon, whether it's, join to do something good, something you love, go get a part-time job, go start a class to learn something, even an online class. Again, putting yourself out there. No one's going to knock on your door. No one's going to bang on your door and beg you to be friends. That doesn't exist. No man is going to beg you to give you the best life. At the end of the day, you have to put yourself out there. You have to make the effort, figure out what you like and where you like spending your time, and go spend time there. And if one thing isn't working, try something else. And trust me, you will find your people. Okay. Let's see. Okay, grief. All right, there's so many people dealing with grief. So I would say with grief, guys, something for me, obviously you guys know my dad passed away last year. I have really just taken a different perspective, because I think grief can really take you down, and it can really fuck with your head, and it can really make you feel somewhat guilty, bad, depressed, really negative. And I really chose to see grief as the person that isn't here, that says they love me, I know would want to see me happy. At the end of the day, if I take my dad, I can sit and really revel in all the things I didn't say, in the not being able to forgive, or not being able to change things, or whatever it is. I can sit and think, keep replaying the past and keep replaying what didn't happen. Or I can appreciate that I did get to at least talk to him. We did get to say I love you. And I know I did the best that I could. And for grief, I'm I can either sit and have it eat me up and then destroy me, my family, and my future, or I can understand that he had a great life, and this is honestly God's plan, and unfortunately he didn't last longer, and we wish he did. But I know that wherever he is, he's watching over us. He's our guardian angel. I know that he is so proud of us, and I know he's looking down on us, protecting us. So at the end of the day, my dad wants to see me happy. He doesn't want to see me crying all day, every day. He wants to see me successful. He wants to see me happy. He wants to see me taking care of my mom. So I look at it as, I have my days, and then I have my deadline. And it's you can pack your bags, but don't unpack them there. It's you arrive somewhere, feel it, don't live in it. And so I always give myself deadlines. If it's a Friday, I'm by Monday, I'm going to get up, I'm going to get dressed, I'm going to get ready, and I'm going to get out there. And even if it's just one thing a day that you do for yourself that gets you outside, that gets your face in the sun, that gets you just feeling somewhat normal or good, is always a good thing and a step in the right direction. And I know it's not as simple, losing obviously a very close one, a relative, a child. My best friend lost her son. And what keeps her going is knowing that he's watching. and knowing that he wants to see her happy and he wants to be proud of her, and she's got to show up. So that's how I look at grief, and I try to look at the more positive side of it. So it's one day at a time, honestly. Okay. Starting your own business. Ladies, I just want you to know you can. Okay? Anyone can. We live in a world today, not the world my mother grew up in and she lived in. She could not start a business wherever she was on her phone. She could not think up any plan or get on social media and create a following and like create a business and make money. Like that did not exist. We have an option where we have technology now that you can pick up a phone, you can learn any craft, you can learn any technology, get on YouTube, get on Google, like you can figure it out and you can start a business from your phone, from your home. That is an incredible privilege. So don't waste it. I just want you to know that like it is available and you can. And it's about starting small and something you know. I don't know everything. I don't know business. Like I never invested. Like I didn't know any of those things. I had to ask questions. I had to ask people who did know. I had to read a shit ton of articles. I had to watch a ton of YouTube videos, and you just have to figure it out. And I think once you kind of figure out who you are, what your niche is, like what is it that you really like to do and spend your time in, then you kind of figure out, okay, where can I spend that time? And you have to commit. Like the truth is, it is a business you're starting from scratch. It is not easy. This is a small business. This is a startup. And you have to completely believe in yourself and completely invest in yourself. Like they say in those things, everybody thinks you're crazy until you're successful, and then everyone believes in you. So that's the reality. You have to believe, and if you believe, then you got to go all in. And you got to read all the articles, you got to learn all the, all the things you got to do. I would say do all the jobs so you really know what you're doing, and no one can ever blindside you or bullshit you because you know how to do it. And if God forbid someone gets sick or quits, you know how to do the job and you're never left hanging. So for me, the startups are amazing because it forces you to learn every single angle of the business. And I think that's super important. So I say start there. Start with something you know, something you love to do already so it isn't hard. Ask for help and just start. What kills most dreams is just the fear of the unknown, but nobody knows. None of us know. I knew no technology. I had no idea how to do Instagram or TikTok. Like for real. When someone literally stops me on the street and it's like, oh my God, I know you from TikTok. When I say I could die, because there was a point that I literally had no idea even how to be on TikTok. So it's crazy that some 53-year-old is being stopped on the street by some gorgeous young women saying that they were excited to meet me from TikTok. I'm like, this is wild. So to say you can't, yes, you can. And you just got to have the balls to bet on you. So get comfortable in your own skin, face yourself, ask yourself the hard questions, and get to work. Get started. Okay, how to deal with being 42 and maybe never having a baby. I've heard this so much now. Number one, I have between my employees and young girls that I've met through work, like I can't tell you how many people now really are saying they don't want kids and that they're not sure if their motherhood is right for them. And I have a few of my mom's friends who never had children. And I think it's a real personal choice. And if it's something like, is it a choice or is it's just you haven't met that person? I have a friend who just had a baby at 46 years old. So we know somebody else, I think, that's pregnant at 47 or 48. I mean, it's crazy, the technology now, the availability now. You just want to make sure it's right. It's really what you want. It is a very, very long, lifelong fucking commitment. And it is hard because you have no idea, if they're healthy, what's going to happen. Like it is a free for all. Like you are just winging it. So I would say if it's something you really, really want, things are available, whether it's a surrogate, whether, you still haven't met your guy, it is still very possible. But if you're somebody who maybe doesn't want to have kids, I say own it. Like genuinely. I think having children is such a misconception put on women, telling them that that's what makes them happy. Like my kids make me so happy, but so many other things make me happy too. Like it's not just being a mom. And yes, am I so grateful I did it? Am I so grateful I have them? But to say that it's easy, that it's not a sacrifice, that it's not a commitment, can I guarantee that they're going to be best friends forever? Can I guarantee that, when I'm older, we're going to have a great relationship, or the wife is going to love me, or that they're going to take care of me when I'm old? Like, I don't know. My sister and my mom don't even speak. Like, I didn't speak to my sister for years. Like, no one's coming to save me. No one's coming to help me. No one's taking care of me. Do you know what I mean? So you're kind of like, I don't know. Like, I don't know if it's so necessary. That's my point. Like, I think you really have to want to be a mom. You really have to want to commit. I think it's really nice when you have a really strong, responsible partner. Not to say you can't do it alone. There are incredibly badass moms out there, single moms out there. My hat is tipped off to you always. Hardest job on the planet, and doing it alone, even harder. So I think that if you don't have the right support and you don't have that dying urge, I would not feel bad about it. I think so many people have kids and unfortunately, they're not happy and they're stuck in marriages, stuck in situations, and they kind of give up. So if it's really not for you, I would not force it. That's the truth. So don't stress and do what's best for you, not what's best for everybody else, not what everybody else is doing. No one else has to live your life. No one else has to be in your house. No one else has to carry the kid or take care of the kid. It's on you. So make sure that's really what you want. That's my honest answer. Okay, guys. Okay, and then last one I will do. Jackson, where are we at?
28 minutes.
Okay, great. We're going to do one more question. Okay, Jackson, we're going to do one more question. Okay, and I think this is a good one because it's being okay when you're not okay. And I talk about this all the time because I think a lot of us are walking around not okay. I don't think anyone's okay. Who's okay? No one's okay. The world's a fucking shit show. But can you show up and like still be happy? Like, you can. And I think that's why those happy tools are so essential and important, because you have to have those little tasks or those little things every day that kind of direct you in a different direction, or, distract you, or, kind of just like take that negative feeling and just kind of puts it into a positive feeling. And that's what you have to do. Like, half the time no one's okay, but we still have to show up for everyone. We still have to show up for our kids. We have to show up. Like the other day I had COVID, I'm sick as a dog, and my mom needs to eat. Like, I still have to get up and make dinner and like make sure she's okay. I mean, there's no choice. So I can be miserable doing that, or I can choose to be okay. And to choose to be like, okay, I get to do this. I get to get up. I'm lucky I'm alive. I'm lucky I'm healthy. I'm lucky my mom's here. It's going to be fine. It's 10 minutes. I got this. And you're just okay. And sometimes you just got to put a smile on. And sometimes you just got to fake it till you make it. You know what I mean? Like, sometimes that smile begets a smile. And when you kind of keep telling yourself it's going to be okay and you're okay, you kind of start to believe it. The same way if you keep telling yourself you're miserable and unhappy and it's never going to work out, it never does. So again, mindset is everything. I think positivity is everything. I think putting yourself out there, I think whenever you go and help and do something good, it always it reminds you, makes you grateful. So I think that's always a good place to be. So I think for me, I don't think anyone's okay, but I think you can show up every day okay. And I think you have the option to do that. Use your happy tools and get to work. So I love you guys. I'm sending you so much love, a huge hug. I never want you to forget that getting up and getting dressed is about you taking care of you and you putting your oxygen mask on first. And that, you're not Mother Teresa. You're human. You don't need to do it all. And you're supposed to be happy too. So get up, get dressed, and let's fucking go. I love you all. See you next week, and we will be back. Please like, review, follow, and spread the word, because we're coming in hot, ladies. Mwah!